Welcome to our advanced PD session on our math teacher tools. This time we're going to be focusing on the lesson plan tool. If we don't know each other already, my name is Karina. I'm Professional Development Coordinator with ClassGaga. My colleagues Kia and Katie are also online here, but it's great to be with you guys. If you can share, even in the chat, that works, your name, the school that you work at, and then what do you teach? Thank you. You can also say it out loud. I just noticed that Felicia and Helly were muted, so no pressure to come off mute. All right.
I teach at St. Catherine Academy. I teach STEM. I teach science, technology, engineering, and math. And I'm in the Bronx, the Boogie Bronx.
The Boogie Down Bronx. I used to teach in the Bronx, Sherry.
Yes, the Boogie Down Bronx.
All right, Felicia, she teaches deaf special needs students. Felicia, what state are you coming to us from? New York as well. Awesome. All right. Helly from Stewart in Ohio. We got a first grade teacher. Amazing. So we got the two ends of the spectrum. We have the high school and the first grade. So that'll be great. All right. So again, thank you guys for coming. We're going to dive in again specifically into the lesson plan tool of our math teacher tools. So if you haven't done so already, get logged into your teacher portal. I'm going to get mine pulled up on the screen as well. And if you don't happen to have a teacher account yet, that's okay. When you head to our portal, teacher.classgaga.com, which I'm putting into the chat right now, there's a button that says sign up, and you can sign up with your school email. If you do have your account already and you're logged in, go ahead and just give me a thumbs up when you're all set and logged in. Thanks, Katie. Thank you, Kia. Thanks, Cherie. Thank you, Helly. All right. Hi, Nora. Thanks for joining. Nora, we've just done introductions, a reminder that our session is being recorded. And right now we're just getting logged into our teacher portal. Thanks. Okay. Felicia, are you good? No? No worries. We can wait a second. This session is for you guys.
Oh, okay. I figured out how to turn my voice back on. Okay, so I want to sign in.
So the portal, I put it in the chat as well. It's teacher.classgaga.com.
Okay.
And if you already have your account, you can get logged in with your school email and password.
Teach.
Karina, could I just share something with you?
Of course.
I made several of the AI geometry tests on your teacher thing, and I love it.
Oh, love that.
I gotta make a quick phone call here. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, I wanted to know if I could, you know, when you print out the test and it has Gaga on the bottom AI, is there any way when we go into edit we can delete that?
We'll check that out today.
Okay. All right. Hold on. I just have to call my principal.
Okay. No problem. All right. Nora, are you all set and logged in? All right. Felicia, how's it going?
Yes, I'm on.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So we're gonna go right now is into, once you clicked into your school, get into the Math Teacher Tools that's over here on the left side of the screen. And once you've clicked into those Math Teacher Tools, today we're gonna focus on the lesson plan. I'm just gonna mute Sherry while she is on her phone call. Okay, all right. So once we're clicked into our lesson plan tool, we're gonna learn two different main ways to use this tool. The first way is going to be in manual mode. The second way will be more AI forward. So we're gonna start with the manual way of using this lesson plan tool. So this manual way of using the lesson plan tool is defaulted when we open it. And in that, all we have to do is choose the grade level that we want and the unit or the concepts that we want. So with those drop downs, everybody go ahead and click a grade and click a unit. Hey, Jarrett, welcome in. Once you've clicked your grade and your concepts that you want, recommending with this tool that we also include a time frame for however long you want your lesson to be. So for example, if you have a 30-minute period, you might want a lesson plan that's 30 minutes. Cherie School might have 45-minute periods. So again, just recommend typing in that time frame. So this first way of using the manual mode, we're just going to choose that grade. We're going to choose the concepts or the unit, and then recommending putting a time frame. That's all we need to get our first lesson plan started. So once you have that, go ahead and click Generate Lesson on the bottom right here. Felicia, what's going on?
So I put the grade, I'm trying to put the concept.
Mm-hmm.
When I click in the box for the concept, oh, now it just came up. Okay. And then after that, I click which?
So just recommending you type in how long you want it to be in that typing box there, and then you can click Generate Lesson.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, as this comes up for you guys, again, this is just our manual way of doing this, where we pick the grade level, we pick the concepts. Once it's finished generating, if you scroll back up to the top of it, you can see it on my screen right now too. You'll see that it starts with some general instructional information, including that grade level that I picked, including the topic, right? I picked division. And then we have our standards. So whenever we generate these lesson plans, no matter what mode, no matter what instructions we give, it's always going to be still 100% aligned to our state standards. So we can see exactly what standard this lesson plan is. It gives us things like prerequisite, some student outcomes. By the end of it, students will be able to. And then we get lesson notes and a detailed sequence. So I want to hear from you guys. What sorts of things are you noticing on this lesson plan or even in the detailed sequence here? What sorts of things came up for you all in your generations?
Step by steps
It's giving steps.
and examples.
And examples, yeah. I can see that in mine right here too. It is giving me my step-by-step modeling that I can use while I'm teaching. Anything else that we're noticing in the lesson plan that we generated?
I see that it will give like the question, then the expected answer, and then what the teacher would say in response to whatever answer they get, which is very cool. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, on my screen here, I have a check for understanding question, which love our formative assessment questions, right? So I have my check for understanding question, and then the expected answer from students as well as teacher moves. What do we do if a student is struggling? How can we prompt them? How can we revoice it or rephrase the question to help them understand if they're struggling? Awesome. Any other things that we noticed that we want to shout out here? And again, feel free to use the chat as well. We don't all have to come on mute, but I love when you guys do. Go ahead, Sherry. Oh, Sherry, I had muted you while you were on the phone call. Sorry.
Okay. Did you put how many minutes this lesson plan should be for? Because it's still running, or no?
So yeah, so on that prompt, one of the recommendations was to include the amount of time there, whatever your period is for. So I made mine, for example, for 30 minutes.
My next question is, if I want to do geometry for high school, do I have to do anything with the grade and the concept, or can I put everything in the instructions?
So for geometry, since it's not one of the topics here.
Right, I can just put in the instructions.
Say that again?
Do I have to click on the grade and the concept, or can I just jump to the instructions?
So it's only going to have questions from the curriculums that are in it, which does not have geometry in it right now. So maybe give it a try. I don't know if you can see where your students have been working. If they've been working even on making up some 8th grade skills, you can click that. But Sherry, maybe the next way of doing it with the AI mode might be more helpful for you. This is just the first way that we could use it, where we pick the grade level and we pick what unit or concept we want. Okay. All right. So other things that I'm just going to note here. So we have, again, we're starting with our standards. We're starting with our student outcomes. What are the prerequisites, right, that students need? And then we get sort of our hook, our practice questions. Jared, I see your question. And then we get, after that, what's the guided practice, followed by the independent practice. And then at the end, our lesson plan is going to give us our closing, our lesson summary, and exit ticket. That's always going to be, again, connected to those learning objectives there. So the lesson plan is always going to be connected to state standards, but it's also always going to follow those high quality ways of doing a lesson, structured lesson, with the release of responsibilities to students. So we're starting together, we're releasing a little bit guided practice, and then we release more with independent practice. So Jared, about images. Sometimes it is able to create the images and they look really good. However, AI still always kind of struggles with images. So sometimes you're going to see it sort of explain an image, but it's not going to be able to generate for you. So I'm going to show you an easy way to be able to put that into there. So the next button we want to look at is our editor button. So at the bottom of our lesson plan, we have a couple of buttons here. This first one is going to say edit. The second one is PDF. The last one is Word. Word works really well for me, so I'm just going to click it open on Word. And when you click this open, you're going to be able to edit directly into the document. Some really, kind of those basic edits. We have our tools up here where we can do things like bold it, italicize, underline, right? We can make bulleted list or numbered list. Something that I might do right at the top, I might give myself a few spaces and say, this is my lesson plan for 5th period tomorrow, right? 4/23/2026. Whatever kind of edits you want to make, you can type them directly in here. So Jarrett, for the question about the the images. Let's say I wanted to, over here, I check for understanding question, which on mine it says I have 20 tickets and I put them, I might put just a space here, and maybe even for myself, I can put a little note there that I want to put an image. And then when I used to teach geometry, sometimes I would spend a lot of time looking for an image on Google when it was easier just to draw it. So I might leave myself the space here. And then when I print it out, draw in that image that I need. Because again, AI just sometimes struggles with images. And so I think it's getting better. Sometimes this does a really great job, but sometimes it just struggles with those images. All right. And then when you are ready, you would be able to export that and print it. Just note, once you X out of this editor, so I put that edit up at the top, which was my lesson plan. If I scroll back up, I can see that edit that I included. I can see that this is now my lesson plan for 5th period. So whatever edits you make, once you exit out of it, it is going to be saved. Yeah, of course, Jared, no problem. This also means if I wanted to make any edits, and then at the bottom, I want to do any of these follow-up prompts. Those follow-up prompts are going to come after I've made those edits. So for example, I know a lot of people when they signed up, they wanted to hear, how can I leverage this tool for differentiation, right? We always have our lesson plan and it's like, okay, this is our starting piece, but a lot of us want to go from there and say, what's the differentiation here? So there are some follow-up prompts here. I have a follow-up prompt here that says design differentiation for students below grade level. I'm going to click on it. I encourage you guys to click on it too. And Sherry, I see you have a question. So while this generates, go ahead.
My first question is the differential. Is it going to give you several different ones or just one? And my other question is, don't you have to break from the first one you generated, cut it, and then make this a second document? Because I did that with my quiz and the teacher keys. When I generated the test on your AI, I had to stop it, export it as a Word document, and I put their name and my period and my name, and I saved that, and then I did the next generate, which was to get the teacher keys for me. And the only thing I wanted to know is, how do you delete the bottom where it says this is an AI thing? Because I'm going to tell you what happened to me. The last test I gave the kids, they didn't notice it on prior tests, but the last one I gave on Friday, they're like, oh, look, she did this on AI on Gaga. And us teachers were always telling them, do not use AI. So they're like, they threw that back at me. Oh, look, she did this on AI. So I wanted to know, not that I don't want to give you credit for your work, but is there any way I could delete it off the test? I don't care about the teacher answers or anything else, lesson plan, but it came up in the bottom on each page, and I couldn't delete it off in the Word document.
Okay, so when we, I'm going to do two things. So the differentiation, I think you said, does only do the one level. So my prompt generator there was specifically designed differentiation for students below grade level. So it'll give me the one for struggling. Sometimes those prompts say differentiate for struggling and advanced students. And in that case, it'll give me both. So based on the prompt that I picked, it's going to give me just the one. We will go into this, but you can always type into this bar as well. So let's say the prompt only gave me the one. I might want both. So I can prompt it on the bottom there by just typing that in. But we'll practice together later. The second, go ahead.
How many differentials are there? 3 different levels, or are there more?
You can do as many levels as you'd like. I've done 3. I've done high, medium, and low before.
Okay. And do the New York State standards automatically integrate when it prints out in AI, or do I have to go look for that?
Say that again?
The New York State standards, you have that as part of your IEPs and 504s. Do I need to go look for that as a teacher, or it automatically knows what to integrate? Like AI knows exactly what to do. I don't need to feed that in.
So right now, two kind of parts of this. So right now we're still on manual mode, where we have picked the grade level and we have picked the concepts that we want it to be. For it to know the students, we're going to talk about that next in the AI-driven one. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's okay. The second part of your question where you're asking about IEPs, I'll talk about that when we go on that AI-driven one. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. So finally, the question about that ClassGaga. So when we open up that editor, we notice that the class, generated by ClassGaga isn't on there. If you want, Sherry, after our session's over, you and I can maybe talk a little bit and trial and error some things. But that's going to be part of the print, not necessarily what's part of what's on our editor there. So we've developed some differentiation. I know we have at least one special education teacher on here. I don't know if our SPED teacher wants to jump out and make comments. Is there anything that's standing out to you on this differentiation that we just generated that is something that you like or that you would use with one of your students? Anyone else too? I just noticed that we had at least one SPED teacher.
I didn't switch mine to whatever you said I was supposed to switch to. So differentiation. So where would I find that?
So on the bottom of the lesson plan that you made,
Right.
there are some prompts there. Do you see any of those prompts that ask about differentiation?
Oh. Oh, there it is. Okay, awesome. Yes, I do. All right, I'll click on that.
All righty.
Let's see. Oh, wow. They give a lot of recommendations for how to differentiate.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
Are you seeing one that maybe stands out to you that you're like, yes, I would use this?
It's still going. Hold on one second. Okay, let's see. Yes. So it says in the language and vocabulary development,
Mhm.
it says use the word even often. So like I'm doing counting, skip counting. So it says it's telling me what words are important to say again and again and again to help the kids to understand the concept. So I like that part. And especially since I work with deaf kids, their language is very limited. So being able to focus on key vocabulary is very important for them.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Felicia. The pre-teach vocabulary is something that stood out to me as well. I was a special education teacher for about 10 years in math classrooms, and so seeing these, it's like, okay. Sometimes bank of ideas even. I might see something that'll work well with one student, see another idea that's going to work well with a different student, so on and so forth, right?
Right.
All right, so I just want to come back now into this lesson plan. Again, in manual mode, I just want to show you guys other ways that you can pick your concepts. So in manual mode, right, we pick our grade level. And in that case, I chose a whole unit. And if you look over in the drop down, it picked one unit and it did 30 concepts. But there's other ways to do this. So let's say I didn't want to include all division word problems. I can click on that title there that says division word problems, and it's going to take me into the specific concepts there. So let's say I just want to do it with arrays and with stroke models. I can just pick those two. You can even mix and match. So let's say I want those two concepts from division and I want to identify rhombuses. So I can click into a different unit and click specific concepts. You can click as many or as few as one that you'd like. You can also, there's a search button over here. So you can also use that if you're like looking for, I don't know, I need to multiply. but you're not sure exactly which unit it falls into, you can search this. Maybe I need to multiply word problems, so I can search multiplying word, and then I get those concepts that have to do with those keywords. So these are just other ways if you're in manual mode and you're looking for specific concepts, just some other ways that you can choose them to get them into the generator. All right. So the next way, the second main way that we can use this lesson plan tool is in our AI forward way, in our Gaga mode turned on. So I'm just going to give a pause. I know we had some people join in. Can you guys just give me a little thumbs up if you are ready to start working with the Gaga mode? So your screen looks like mine. Thank you, Cherie. You're in lesson plan and you've toggled on. Thank you, Katie, Nora, Haley, Kia. I got a little explosion of thumbs up. So again, over here with our Gaga mode turned on. So if you've used AI before, similar to how we just did in manual mode, you might say, hey, I need a lesson on dividing fractions, and it'll give you something. Our internal model is going to be a little better than, say, a ChatGPT because it's going to be tied to state standards, and it's going to give you that high-quality lesson structure. AI mode is now going to give you a slightly different result. Still tied to state standards, still going to give you that lesson plan sequence. However, if you notice, the drop-down menus have changed. Our drop-down menus here no longer give us an option to pick a grade level or pick concepts. The reason why we can't pick the grade level or concepts is because Gaga is now going to be making those decisions. Gaga is going to look at the work that your students have done in the system, and Gaga is going to determine what is the grade, what is the concept that that student or group of students most needs to work on next. It identifies the missing foundational skill, again, based on what they have been doing in the system. So let's practice, and we're going to practice first with picking a class. So over here in the middle drop-down is where you can pick a specific class. I'm going to go with one of my 6th grade classes. And just a heads up, we're turning on Gaga mode. We're using student information and data. My students that come up on my screen, they're totally made up. They're just demonstration purposes, only students. So what we see from my pretend 6th grade class here is just going to be for demonstration. So in that middle tab there, we pick our 6th or whatever class. I picked my 6th grade class. Again, still recommending that we include a time frame here. So I have 30-minute lessons. I'm going to include in that instruction there that I want it to be 30 minutes. Once you've got your class picked, and again, recommending we put a time frame there, go ahead and click Generate Lesson. And this time, you're going to see a lesson, and that first thing, it's going to tell you what grade they should work on, and it's going to tell you what topics. So maybe this is a little surprising for you. Maybe you're not surprised about what Gaga is recommending for that class that you picked. As it generates, just taking a little bit of time to take a look at what it's generated for you. Again, up at the top is where it's going to tell you the grade level, the topic, and the standards. So I'm going to talk briefly about mine first. So I picked a 6th grade class. Gaga has told me I need to do this 5th grade math lesson, meaning my students are a little bit behind, or maybe they're working on some prerequisites that happen in 5th grade. Specifically, it's telling me to work on multiplying and dividing decimals by powers of 10 using exponents. Again, I have my standards. That apply here. This time, though, my prerequisites A little different than manual mode, right? Manual mode told me what do my students need to know before they do this lesson. This time, it's telling me what do my students already know that's applied to this lesson. So it says already mastered per data. Gaga knows that my per 10 sixth grade students already have mastery of these prerequisite skills, which is why we're going to work on this next. So let me just hear from you guys for what came up for the class that you chose. Does it seem in line with what you've expected? Was it surprising? Anyone's welcome to share. Again, you can type in the chat. You can come off mute. Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, what I liked about mine for high school, I did geometry. It said exploring circles, and then it gave student outcomes. It gave me some vocabulary for circles, and then it gave me relationships, and I liked the exit ticket. Gave me a nice exit ticket for the students. So I thought that was really nice.
That's great. Sherry, I'm curious because you did geometry. Did your standard, what grade did the standard come out for?
It came out under 5th grade.
Under 5th grade?
Yeah.
Probably because I guess some prerequisite concepts for geometry come up under that 5th grade curriculum, right?
Which is fine. Because it's still the basics. We're still doing have a circle, center, radius, diameter, circumference, all that good stuff.
Right, right.
So it's fine for me. It's good
All
review.
right. Great.
Because a lot of the students we have were from the COVID, you know, like they were like in upper elementary school, they were in, you know, the COVID generation, I call them. And a lot of them did not do well on Zoom with the math.
Right.
So I think it's good review for them.
Thank you, Sherry, for sharing that. It's great to hear, even though there's not a geometry curriculum in here, you can still leverage this mode to create your lessons. Just coming down a few more things. So we still have that same detailed lesson sequence. We even have like those teacher moves, again, those questions that we could ask. If you're ever looking to even leave subplans or you have a classroom helper or something in the classroom, some of these questions can definitely be helpful for some of that staff to be able to support your students. And then again, at the bottom, we have our exit ticket. And then we have our editing tools and our follow-up prompts. I'm actually going to bring us back into the editor tool. So again, I like to do Word because I want to show the advanced editing option. We mentioned we have a lot of the basic editing options like bolding and italicizing, but we also have our Insert Math button. So the last button up there on that top bar says Insert Math. And when we click on there, we get a pop-up keyboard on the bottom that has these advanced math keyboard buttons, right? So we get things like our square root button. We get, you know, to do exponents. If we move, we get sine, cosine, tangent symbols. This is the great place if you ever need to add it in. You can open up, again, this Insert Math button on the editor to do some of those more advanced edits. Once again, we have our follow-up prompts, but like I mentioned before, we can also type something in. So part of using these tools for teachers is to save us time and energy, right? So the last lesson plan, we looked at how can we follow-up prompt to differentiate, things like that. Now, I don't know about you, but if I like a lesson plan, I'm like, all right, great. Give me my student worksheet and give me my answer key. So what you can do down here is you can simply type in to ask Coach Gaga, make me my student worksheet. Again, type that in, make the student version worksheet, and that'll save you any time from going in and kind of copying and pasting those questions out. And very easily there, again, once that lesson plan looks how you want it to, you can prompt it for that student worksheet. It gives it to you with those lines for students to put their answers, right? We get that exit ticket on the bottom. It has the whole flow in here. Even the directions, right? So these are the guided practice questions. So it says, work with your teacher to complete. It keeps that flow that was on the lesson plan. And then, of course, we have a worksheet. We're on our answer keys. In my case, I have a create answer key for the student worksheet. So I can save myself that typing, and I can just click that button and I can make that answer key. Again, if you have any paraprofessionals, co-teachers, aides in the room that might want to support the students and maybe don't have the strongest math skills, these answer keys can be such a powerhouse in helping them feel confident and walking around and supporting the students as well. Or if you're grading right, it can make it easier because your answers are just right there as well. Any questions so far about just how we use Gaga Mode to make these lesson plans? Go ahead, Sherry.
When you did the math pop-up thing, you can do calculus on here. I saw the integral.
Yes.
You can? So how comes it only says it goes up to algebra 2 then on here?
So this insert math, this is sort of like
that's an integral sign. That's calc.
right. The math calculator is it's sort of akin to what you might see on like the Desmos calculator. It's not necessarily a calculator that's like built specifically just for our curriculum. It's just that advanced math keyboard, I should say.
So, but you could go in there under the AI mode, and it could put together a calc test or a pre-calc test or something. That's what you're saying?
You'd definitely give it a try.
Okay. Cool.
Okay, so we just generated this for a class. Now, two sort of remaining questions. One is, I have a specific student, right? Maybe they have an IEP. I know somebody, when you sign up for the session, how can I use it specifically for my special education students? And next question is, it's near the end of April. A lot of us have testing coming up soon. So how can I leverage this tool to work for individual students and help me out in my test prep needs? So I'm coming back out to start a new lesson plan. I'm going to, once again, keep Gaga Mode on. This time, I'm going to pick one of my pretend students who's been working on Algebra 1 or who's in my Algebra 1 class. So my pretend student, Polly. So in that middle there, we can pick a specific class. On the end here on the right, we can pick a specific student. So Gaga is now going to take the information. What has my student Polly done in the ClassGaga system? And what does Polly need to learn? So when I pick Polly, that's what it's going to do. Now, in this instruction, I'm going to keep my time frame. So I'm going to say 30-minute lesson. And now, suggestion, you can say geared towards test prep. So I live in New York, right? So I might want a 30-minute lesson geared towards New York State Regents prep. Regents have multiple choice and word problems. So I might also say include multiple choice, and word problems. So again, my special instruction there, I'm going to include that time frame for this lesson. I'm also going to ask it to help me out with this test prep. So it can take, again, all this information that it knows that Polly's been doing in the system. What does she need to learn? And when I generate, I encourage you guys to generate those too. It's going to make those practice questions for Polly to practice for the regions. I still get my teacher moves. I still get my student expected answers. My check for understanding questions. It's still going to have that release of scaffold. But I can see now at the top, I can see Polly needs to work on a little bit of 8th grade skills. So we're going to talk 8th grade skills that's going to get her ready for the regions. Now it's choosing more than one standard, which is sort of what we do in test prep, right? Sometimes we're like, okay, we don't have the full year, right? We have the whole year to get into like a little bit of time, but this is also going to help tell you that. What does Polly most need to prep for those regions? Sherry, go ahead.
My speaker's on? Okay. What I want to know is, I see you're doing everything in the lesson plan. You're not using the workbook anymore. If we want to do any kind of differential or IEP or 504, it should be in the lesson plan to create something, correct?
So, lesson plan is going to give you that whole detailed sequence. We previously talked about the workbook tool. Workbook tool is just going to give you output of like worksheet and questions. So this one essentially is more detailed because it gives you the whole lesson sequence, check for understanding questions, so on and so forth. The thing about the IEPs or 504s though, is that information doesn't go, we don't feed it into the system. Our system technically doesn't even know your students' names, right? The Polly is actually like an anonymous code in there for the system. It doesn't even know your student names. So we wouldn't feed into the system anything like an IEP or a 504. However, in those special instructions, let's say Polly does really well with concrete examples. I can type that in. Make sure to include concrete examples, right? So we can't feed that into the system. What this is going to do is just going to say, this is the math work that Polly has done on ClassGaga. Any of that extra information that we know about Polly that we need included, we can type that in.
I don't remember where I saw it, but when I was fooling around with this, I saw a section where it was like a drop-down list, like you could pick what the IEP was or the 504 was and put it in. But I don't remember if it was lesson plan or a workbook that I found that.
That's a brand new tool that recently launched. That's the IEP tool. Yeah, that's the IEP tool. So choosing those sorts of things will give you specific recommendations based on what you input there. But this lesson plan is really just going off of the math work that Polly or your student has done in the system.
Okay. So could I just say that lesson plan is showing the strengths and weaknesses of the student, including the New York State standards, and the workbook is where I would want to specialize in the IEP 504 or no?
So the workbook will give you those quick worksheets or workbooks. The lesson plan is going to give you your detailed sequence that you can follow. That IEP tool, when you do generate, it's going to give you a little bit more of like what would go into the IEP. So like the plop narrative or IEP goals that again would go into the IEP. Does that make sense? So workbooks generate workbooks or worksheets. Lesson plans generate the lesson plans, including the worksheet. And then the IEP tool helps you type things into that student's IEP.
So I don't remember, just because my memory, what teacher tool do I go into just for the IEPs or 504s? Where am I generating from? That's what I don't remember.
So the IEP tool is just a brand new tool. We are never putting an IEP into the system. The system is just an IEP kind of recommendation generator. So again, based on the student that the work that the student does in the system might say a good IEP goal for Polly might be blank. Okay. All right. We are coming here to the end of our time. If you did do this sort of test prep, Is there anything on your guys' generations that stands out to you that you really like? We'll just get one quick share at the end here.
Can you see on the bottom if it prints AI generator for me or no?
So if you stick around, we can talk a little bit about what you might be able to do with that, Sherry.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
But anything standing out on the lesson plan that was generated? Nora, I can see your face right now. Anything stand out to you in that test prep that you generated?
No, I'm just checking what I created and I love it.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
That's good to hear. Is there anything specific that you love?
I am a bilingual teacher, so I love that it has in Spanish.
Mm.
I don't have to translate it.
Okay, that's great. I love that.
Yep.
Okay, I'll name, so when I saw this, something I love was how I can see clearly each one of these questions, specifically which objective is it linked to. So also, you know, when I come through, when I'm working on this lesson plan with a student, and let's say she's still struggling with this objective, I also now know how to further target any test prep that I do with that student. So that's something when I saw these generations, I loved that. All right, so again, we're at the end of our time. Does anybody have any other questions that they have? And Sherry, I know you want to talk that ClassGaga thing. That's okay, we'll do that after. But anybody have any other questions here about the lesson plan tool? All right. Go ahead. Okay, maybe not. All right. So I just want to say thank you guys for coming here to this optional session to dive a little deeper into these lesson plan tools. Just to recap, we looked at how to do it manually, where we choose the grade level and the concepts that we want. We looked at turning it on to Gaga mode for a class or for a specific student. We talked about recommending putting that time frame into the special instructions, and also how you can leverage those special instructions to do things like differentiation, creating the worksheets and the answer keys, and helping you out with some prep for test prep time that I think is coming up for most of us very soon here. Nora even shared how she loves using it bilingually, especially for her Spanish speakers, and how it can translate easily for her, which is amazing.